This is Chapter 7, Lesson 7.1. So we're going to talk about nitrogenous wastes, urea, creatinine, and uric acid, and the functions of the kidney. So it filters nitrogenous wastes to form urine. About 200 quarts of blood are filtered every day to form 2 quarts of urine. And this helps to maintain proper balance of water, electrolytes such as sodium and potassium, and acids. Releases hormones such as renin, which is an enzyme important in adjusting blood pressure, erythropoietin, which is often abbreviated as EPO. It's a hormone that stimulates red blood cell production in the bone marrow, and calciferol, which is the active form of vitamin D necessary for the absorption of calcium from the intestine, and then also to degrade and eliminate hormones from the bloodstream. So the anatomy of the major organs of the urinary system of a male is the kidney, ureter, urinary bladder, and urethra. So here's an anatomical illustration with the pertinent organs. So you have the kidneys, 2 ureters, 1 out of each kidney, which go to the bladder, and then the urethra, and at the bottom, the urinary meatus, or opening. The organs of the female urinary system are the kidney, ureter, urinary bladder, and urethra. So pretty similar up here, 2 kidneys, 2 ureters coming out into the urinary bladder, with the urethra descending, and then the urinary meatus, the opening. So what is voiding? Does everybody remember what it means to void? Is it the nitrogenous waste, the active urination, the outer section of the kidney, or the triangular area in the bladder? And hopefully everybody said B, urination. So how do kidneys produce urine? Blood enters the kidneys through the right and left renal arteries, and then the arterioles carry blood to the capillaries, and the glomeruli filter the blood. As the blood enters the kidneys through the right and left renal arteries, here's a renal artery, and then a renal vein. The arterioles carry blood to the capillaries, and on the end of there is the glomeruli, which filters the blood. The glomerulus and glomerular Bowman capsule. So this is where the blood passes through the glomeruli, and the Bowman capsule, glomerular, surrounds each glomerulus. The renal tubule is attached to each Bowman capsule. So here's an illustration of the Bowman capsule, the glomerulus, or the capillaries there. Afferent, meaning the blood coming into the glomerulus, and then efferent, meaning that it's flowing away from it, and then the filtering out of the sugar, water, urea, and other wastes and salts into the renal tubule. So the 3 steps in the formation of urine, which is glomerular filtration, which we just looked at, pulling out the water, sugar, wastes, and salts. Then the tubular reabsorption, reabsorbing the water, sugar, and sodium. And the tubular secretion, getting rid of the acids, potassium, and any drugs or other substances. So here's that same illustration we looked at, expanded upon. The Bowman capsule, the arteriole, and the steps of the glomerular filtration up here, then the tubular reabsorption here in the renal tubule, and then the tubular secretion down at the bottom, right before the collecting tubule, which goes to the pelvis. So then you have your final product of urine, which is 95% water and 5% waste, such as urea and creatinine and salts, acids, and drugs. So combined, the glomerulus and the renal tubule form a unit called a nephron. So here's the glomerulus inside the Bowman capsule, the renal tubules all around here, and so that is one nephron. Oops. Okay, sorry, we're going to go back to our quick quiz here. Approximately how many nephrons are in a kidney? 100,000, 10,000, no, that's 10 million, sorry. 1 million, there's 100,000. What do you think? How many nephrons? So the correct answer is C. There are about 1 million nephrons in one kidney. So that's a fair amount. So all the collecting tubules lead to the renal pelvis. Calyces are small, cup-like regions of the renal pelvis. And the term comes from the Greek calyx, which means a cup or a case surrounding a flower bud. So here you have the little calyces that look like cups, the renal pelvis leading out of the ureter. So again, the functions of the kidneys are to remove nitrogenous wastes, balance our water and electrolytes, release hormones, and then degrade and eliminate hormones. So this is kind of a never-ending feedback loop here, where you have the bloodstream through the renal arteriole to the glomerulus, filtration process into the glomerular capsule, and then the renal tubule. And from here, there's reabsorption of necessary water, sugar, and salts back into the bloodstream, and then as well as secretion of acids, potassiums, and drugs and other substances into the renal tubule. And then to the renal pelvis, into the ureters, down to the bladder, down into the urethra, and then urine leaves the body through the urinary meatus, which means opening. So our vocabulary terms are arterial, calyx, catheter, cortex, creatinine, electrolyte, and here's our definitions. So make sure you review these, download the slides. Erythropoietin, or EPO, filtration, glomerular capsule, glomerulus. I know those are tough to say. Glomerulus. The hilum, kidney, meatus, medulla, nephron, nitrogenous waste, potassium, reabsorption, renal artery, renal pelvis, renal tubules, renal vein, renin, sodium, trigone, urea, ureter, urethra, uric acid, urinary bladder, urination or avoiding, okay, so we'll go through some of the prefixes, terminology structures now. So kilo or cheliceo, which is calyx, cup-shaped. Cysto, urinary bladder. Glomerulio, which is the glomerulus. Meato, for meatus. Nephro, kidney. Paielo, which is pertaining to the renal pelvis. Reno, or kidney. Trigono, trigon. Ureter, or uretero, meaning ureter. Urethro, meaning the urethra. And vesico, or vesic, pertaining to the urinary bladder. Here's our substances and symptoms. Albumin, azot or azoto, pertaining to nitrogen. Bacteria or bacterio, bacteria. Dips or dipso, meaning thirst. Cal or calo is potassium. Ket or keto or ketone or ketono are the ketone bodies. Lith is stone. Natri or natro is sodium. Nocto is night. Olig or oligo is scanty, so not very much. Poietin means a substance that is formed. Pi or pio is pus. Tripsy means to crush. Ur or uro is urea. And then urea pertains to urination or a urine condition. And urine or urino is urine. So urinalysis, we'll look a lot more at this in MA125, where we actually will run a urinalysis here in probably a month or two. So the tests that are included in a urinalysis is the color of the urine, the appearance, so that has more to do with the clarity level, and then the pH level, the number of protein molecules in the urine, and then the number of glucose molecules. Also, the specific gravity is checked, so that has to do with the concentration level of solids versus liquid. Ketone bodies, we measure the number of ketones in the urine. Sediment, which is more to do with the solids. And then phenylketonuria. And then bilirubin. Those are all things that we look for in the urinalysis. So in the urinalysis, what does the test of specific gravity reflect? The chemical nature of urine, the presence of albumin, if there's blood in the urine, or the amount of waste, minerals, and solids in the urine. So what would you guess? Chemical, albumin, blood. So these are all things that we measure separately in the urinalysis. We also measure for the presence of blood, albumin. So it's the amount of wastes, minerals, and solids in the urine. So actual solids as opposed to liquids. Okay, so that's the end of lesson 7.1.